Good afternoon. My name is Scott Mills. It's my duty, honor, and privilege to be here today to tell you about Steve Boozer. They asked me to talk because I talk a lot. Probably the only man that can give me a run for my money is Steve Boozer. I'm going to make 3 promises while I'm up here today. And the first promise I'll make right now. And I'm going to need some help, Steve. I promise not to swear or cuss one single time while I'm up here. If you know me, you know that's a big thing. They want me to tell you who Steve Boozer was. And here's where this second promise comes into play. I hereby swear to you fine folks that I'll never talk about Steve Boozer in the past tense. You've seen that room last Friday when we went to see Angie. I talked about Steve in the past tense and it caught me off guard. So never again. And here's why. He's still here. He's in all of you guys. And all you guys. He's here. And he's here. He'll never be gone. There's lots of guys and gals in uniform here. So that means something. I once wore a uniform too, an Army uniform. I served 8 years as an infantry soldier in the 2nd Mechanized and Iowa National Guard out of Carroll, Iowa. That's a young man's game, and that was a long time ago in a galaxy far away. You all live it. You all breathe it every single day. And I salute you. Thank you very much for your service. Now on to Steve. Steve gets called a lot of names. That'd be nice. But I heard one this last week that I'd never heard, and we hang out a lot. I heard him called the bicycling firefighter, or the biking fireman. And I guess when you think about it, that about sums it up. But he was a lot more than that. It was those 2 things. First and foremost, he was a father and a husband. Braxton, you probably already know this. But on May 16th, that's your birthday, right? May 16th, 1988, you, my dear, won the daddy lottery. Of all the dads you could have gotten, you got Steve Boozer. Man, you're lucky. And he loved you with everything he was worth. Angie, I don't know what to say, friend, but I'll say this. I will have your back until my last breath. After those 2 mountain things, Steve was a lot of things. I think when you first think about it, I think he's a teacher. He traveled all over Iowa teaching CPR and first aid. And by how you gentlemen and ladies do your job, he was a fantastic teacher. But before you go putting Steve Boozer in the Teaching Hall of Fame, he failed one time. And I'm here living proof of that failure. The Millises and Boozers and the Morleys, when they were still here, we used to camp a lot. And in 2012, Carrie and I, we got a camper. Steve Boozer could back up that ladder truck with his eyes closed around 10 city blocks in a snake path. But try as he might, he could not teach me to back up that camper. I was the worst backer-upper in the history of backer-uppers. Before we hung up on that, don't worry. We got rid of the evidence. Karen and I sold that camper last year. It's funny how I thought of this second thing that Steve is, because it was mentioned to me yesterday. Steve is a protector. B, he's your protector. We rode Ragbri a lot. And then he started in 2009 and go for 7 years together. And when you have a bunch of people riding together, they don't know each other, and it's a wide group. But in each group, there's a couple people that take upon themselves to be sentinels, to tell the other riders of danger, of things that could harm them. And Steve always took upon himself to be one of those sentinels. If a car was coming from behind, you yell, "Car back." If a rider was approaching from the front, you say, "Rider up," so there's not a collision. That would make the other riders look up and see what was going around. He would do that every day he rode. So unbeknownst to all those riders, as they went along that day, they had a little bubble of Steve, who was their security, and they never knew it. And he was my ultimate protector for 10 days in 2015. When he had my back from Muscatine to Council Bluffs along Highway 92. It was a great adventure with even a greater friend. And that's basically what Steve is. He's my friend. Steve was the type of guy that would give him your shirt off his back, give you his shirt off his back. And you can say that about a lot of guys. But while you're putting on that shirt, Steve's over there getting you a pair of pants just in case you might need them. That was just what Steve did. When we'd ride, I'd be over here messing around, and he'd be putting air in my tires, putting water in my water bottles, hanging bikes, taking bikes down. That's just what Steve did. Didn't even have to ask, it just happened. I get asked a lot of questions of how we met Steve and Angie in Braxton. We met through Lori and Brian, through geocaching. Geocaching is a high-tech treasure hunt. In 2011, Steve and I rode Brian. We're trying to complete it for our second time. And the last day there was a lot of rain, and I had to move this dip site in Davenport, Iowa. And through all the mixing and matching, we got there and they took our picture with our bikes above our heads, like you see all the time. And as luck would have it, we'd be in the Des Moines Register next year. And in that 2012, we were the cover boys for the participant guide. So we've got RAGBRAI street cred. We did 7 RAGBRAIs together. And he always gave, and sometimes, and I think I just figured this out last week. I got to be the bike mechanic on the team. I don't know how that job fell to me. You all heard of the term boozering, right? He could fix anything. A pair of pliers and some baling wire. But somehow I got to be the bike mechanic. And I was very proud of that fact. I told people I'm the bike mechanic and I can fix stuff. Because I can fix stuff. Just not as good as Steve. So there's two reasons why that happened. A, Steve didn't want to do it, which I don't think that was it. I think it's B, that he wanted me to feel good about myself. Like I was a guy to the team. But I do know this, that while I messed around trying to fix something for 10 minutes that he could have fixed in 60 seconds, it drove him crazy. We'd always turn RAGBRAI into an election, a mayor election. Because there's 2 guys that could talk, and we would talk. But I never stood a chance. I lost every election by a landslide. Until last year. I finally won. Because Steve didn't ride. And she would always call us, say this about Steve and I, 2 half-wits don't equal a whole wit. I think it's more like a quarter wit. And as proof of that, for those who watched the Jello video last week, you'll never look at Jello the same way. So get your Jello! 2 of the guy in the hat. And I was that guy in the hat. I was one of the luckiest people to know Steve. Last year we finally got a jersey made. Vic, where are you at? We we finally got a jersey made. It's there, the green one. And we debated, we put our names on it. And people would say, why do you put your names on it? That's kind of stupid. No one's going to wear a jersey with your names on it. But man, I'm glad we did, because now I got Steve Boozer on my back for as long as I ride. There's numbers there too. There's an obvious name behind that. I won't go into that now. But there's another story behind those numbers. And in order for me to keep that first promise I made you folks, I can't tell it. So ask me later. You did pretty good on keeping that first promise, Steve. Thank you. There's a lot of connections between Steve and Angie and Carrie and me. We've just found another one today. Carrie always says Angie's a female me, or I'm a male Angie. Steve and I actually have the same wedding ring. It's a very unique design. I've never seen it before in my life, but Steve has it. Another connection we had in 1997, the Saturday evening that Princess Di died, we both conceived our first child at a campground in eastern Iowa. So it was destiny that we finally meet up. You see, when it comes to geocaching, you find more than just animal cans in the woods. For Carrie and me, we found our best friends. It's been my pleasure today to tell you about Steve Boozer. But I have one more promise to make. The third promise, and it's a big one. Since 2012, I've been going through a journey with a lot of people in my corner. Steve was one of them. And I thought, as I beat it back each time, that I'd become a pretty high-level human being. But Steve, being the teacher he always is, showed me that I can be better, I can do more. So as God my witness in front of all you fine folks, Angie, Carrie, I promise you to become a better husband. Braxton, Cole, Morgan, Jess, I promise to be a better father. And all you fine folks, I promise to be a better human being. All because Steve told me that I can. And that leaves just one more thing. To you, Steve, thank you for being my friend. I don't deserve it, and I certainly didn't earn it, but I'll take it. Steve Boozer, I'll meet you on the other side. Thank you.